Welcome to the channel Bong Toi Trong Dem. I'm your storyteller tonight, and this story was told to me by Mr. Tuan himself, a man who once worked as a security guard on a small island off the coast of Cat Ba. He said that even now, whenever the wind howls through the cliffs, he still feels as if someone is squeezing his throat. The night I met him, rain was pattering on the corrugated roof, and the salty sea breeze filled the air. Mr. Tuan sat huddled in a small roadside shack, a bottle of white liquor before him, his eyes lost somewhere beyond the horizon. His voice was deep and rough, like waves striking against stone, as he began his tale. Back then, I had just started a job guarding a small island in the Cat Ba tourist area. The island was isolated, rarely visited, only a few makeshift huts for workers and guards. In daylight, everything seemed normal, the sound of waves, seagulls squawking, but when night fell, it became unsettlingly silent, with the wind moaning like someone crying over the rocks. My first night on duty, I lay inside the cramped wooden hut with a dim yellow bulb hanging above me. The distant crash of waves against the cliffs sounded like the slow breathing of a sleeping person. I pulled the blanket tight, trying to drift off amid the whistling wind. Then, I suddenly felt someone standing beside me. The sensation was so real I thought a coworker was playing a prank. And I was about to open my eyes to scold him. But before I could speak, my throat tightened, icy, bony hands reeking of dead fish wrapped around my neck. Panicking, I jerked awake, threw off the blanket, and switched on the light. The hut was empty. Only the hammock in the corner swayed gently. My forehead broke out in sweat, though the air was freezing. I swept my flashlight around. Shadows flickered across the wooden walls. The back door was slightly ajar, creaking as the wind pushed through. I stepped outside. The damp, salty smell hid my face. Behind the hut stood an old shipping container, long abandoned and locked. I approached it. The door was slightly open. The lock rusted. The moment my hand touched it, the metal door screeched open with a cold, spine-chilling sound. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, and I froze. A man was hanging in the middle of the container, a rope looped around his neck, his body dressed in a tattered old military uniform with tall leather boots and a steel French helmet. His face was pale, eyes wide open, lips dark purple. My heart nearly burst out of my chest. I stumbled backward, and just then, his head tilted sideways, and a raspy voice like wind through a pipe whispered, "You want to die too?" I screamed, dropped my flashlight, and bolted back to the hut. When I looked back, the container door was shut tight, as if it had never opened. The next morning, when the sun rose, I was still shaken. I told some locals on a passing supply boat what I had seen. They all went pale. One old man smoking a bamboo pipe croaked. That spot used to be a French prison. A few French soldiers were stranded there after losing the war. They hanged themselves in 45. Anyone who sleeps there gets strangled. Some quit after just one night. Goosebumps crawled all over me. Back at the hut, I checked the duty log. Several guards had indeed quit without reason. It felt like invisible eyes were watching me, laughing silently. That afternoon, I went to the market and bought some offerings, a small roast pig, paper money, rice wine, incense. I figured, the dead were once human too. Maybe a little respect would bring peace. Night fell fast, clouds thick like smoke curtains. I lit the incense and prayed softly in front of the old container. The wind blew hard, snuffing out the flames, scattering ashes everywhere. Then I heard faint footsteps behind me, slow, steady, crunching over gravel. I turned around. Only my shadow stretched long under the flashlight's beam. I quickly relit the incense and prayed louder, the smoke mingling with the salty, fishy air. If there are any restless souls here, please forgive me. I mean no harm, just doing my job to earn a living. If you're hungry, take this roast pig and white wine as my humble offering. The moment I finished speaking, there was a loud bang inside the container, like someone had slammed the steel wall. My flashlight flickered, and the waves suddenly crashed louder. Terrified, I fled back to the hut. The only things in my head were the sound of the wind and the smell of burnt incense. That night, I didn't dare close my eyes. Every time the wind seeped through the cracks, I felt ghostly fingers brush my neck. I stared into the dark until dawn. When sunlight finally streamed in, my body felt like it had survived an illness. The next day, I reported everything to the resort owner. They said they'd send people to inspect the island and arranged a boat to take me back to the mainland. Before leaving, I glanced back. The container still sat there, silent, but something glinted in the door's crack, like a shard of metal catching the sun. I didn't dare look closer. That evening, as the boat drifted through the open sea, I heard the waves slap against the hull, and a faint whisper brushed past my ear. "Next time, bring more wine." I spun around. Only fog and rippling waves stretched behind us. But I swear, I heard that voice. And even now, whenever I return to Cat Ba and glance toward that little island, I can still see the rusted old container gleaming faintly, like a metallic eye watching me through the salty mist. I met Mr. Tuan again nearly a month later. He looked completely different, his skin darkened, his eyes sunken as if he hadn't slept in weeks. He said that after that night, he returned to the mainland intending to quit for good, but the resort owner begged him, "You're the only one who can stand it out there. Everyone else has quit. Please, go back for a few days. We'll pay you extra." Money, after all, was hard to refuse. He convinced himself that it had all just been exhaustion and imagination. So he boarded the boat once more and headed back to the island. The old motorboat clattered over the waves, the wind whistling past his ears like a whisper calling his name. As the island emerged from the mist, a chill crept up his neck. On the shore, the huts were still there, the container still there, only now streaked with long trails of rust. Dark as dried blood. He resumed his daily routine, cleaning the camp, checking the power lines, patrolling the perimeter. By day, everything seemed peaceful, the familiar rhythm of waves and wind. But at dusk, when the sun slipped behind the rocky cliffs, the air grew heavy and thick. The only sound left was a faint hissing, like someone whispering behind his back. That first night back, he carefully locked the doors and lit incense before bed. The smoke drifted slowly, mixing with the salt and rust in the air. He tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Outside, the wind toyed with the wild bushes, making the leaves rustle like clothes brushing together. Around midnight, he heard a faint click, as if someone was opening the container door. Then silence. A moment later, another click. His heart pounded. Grabbing his flashlight, he unlocked the door and stepped outside. The cold wind whistled in his ears. The damp sand crunched beneath his feet. He shone the light toward the container. The door was slightly ajar. A cold mist spilling out like smoke. His voice trembled. "Is anyone there?" No answer. Only a faint tick-tick, like metal tapping against metal. He swallowed hard and took a few steps closer. Inside, total darkness. Just a loose end of rope hanging down. The flashlight flickered, then went dead. He smacked it a few times, then from within the darkness came the sound of breathing. Very close, slow, wet, heavy. "You came back?" That voice, he recognized it instantly. The same rasping, half-human, half-wind tone. He stumbled backward, and suddenly, an icy hand shot out from the shadows. Clutching his ankle, he screamed, kicked free, and bolted back to the hut. When he dared to look back, the container was shut tight again, as if nothing had happened. The next morning, he grabbed the radio and called for help, his voice shaking. The signal was weak, filled with static. "On the island, anyone there?" he yelled. "Yes, it's me. Send a boat, please, hurry." But no reply came, only the sound of wind through the speaker, like someone chuckling softly. All day, he stayed inside, too afraid to step out. That night, he lit every stick of incense he had, praying at every corner of the hut. When the smoke thickened, he noticed footprints near the makeshift altar, bootprints, deep in the sand, the kind soldiers wore, tall French boots, pointing straight toward the door. That night, The rain poured hard. The wind howled like screams. He huddled in the hut, the lights flickering in and out. Every flash of lightning lit a figure outside the window, tall, helmeted, motionless. The rain drenched everything except that figure. He trembled violently, clutching a small knife. Each time the thunder struck, the white face appeared clearer, the eyes wide open, staring straight inside. "You haven't offered enough?" The voice echoed in his head, cold, distinct, and bone deep. He collapsed, crawling backward into the corner. The knife slipped from his hand and clattered to the floor with a sharp clang. He must have fainted, because when he woke the next morning, his ankle was bruised, right where that hand had grabbed him. The rope inside the container was gone. Only a foul fishy smell remained, and a soggy scrap of paper printed with faint French words, Camp de Detention 1945. He told the story to a local fisherwoman. Her hair was silver, her voice raspy with age. She shook her head and said softly, "That island used to hold mutinous French soldiers. One officer hanged himself there. But before dying, he swore that whoever claimed his land would pay with their life. A roast pig offering won't do. You must return what's his." Mr. Tuan blinked in confusion. "Return, what?" The old woman looked toward the horizon, her voice barely a whisper. "A gun, and a silver badge, buried beneath the container. Until you dig them up, his soul won't rest." At that point, I, the one listening, felt a chill run through my spine. Mr. Tuan poured himself another shot of liquor, his voice trembling. "That night, I did it. I dug it up, and it was real. A rusted black gun, and a silver badge engraved with an eagle." He paused, eyes distant, his hands shaking. But what I didn't know was that digging it up was only the beginning of the real nightmare. Mr. Tuan said that after digging up the rusted gun and the silver badge, he rinsed them in seawater and wrapped them in a white cloth. The air that night was strange, metallic and fishy, like the scent of dried blood mingled with salt and sand. The sky was dry, yet the fog rolled in thick and milky, swallowing the whole shore. He lit incense beside the items and whispered a prayer. "If these belong to the dead, let me return them. I never meant to disturb your rest. I only wish to work here in peace." The incense had barely burned halfway when the flame suddenly went out. A cold breath grazed his neck, and the ground beneath him quivered, as if footsteps were circling close by. He bent down and looked at the hole he had just dug. The sand was flat again, no trace of a shovel. Then, right before his eyes, a dark stain began to spread upward, as though something was seeping from the earth. A pair of tall boots appeared, then pant legs, then a whole body slowly rising through the sand. Moonlight washed over a soaked military uniform. Hollow eyes stared straight at him. "Give it back," the voice rumbled, deep and heavy, like it came from underground. Mr. Tuan stumbled backward, trembling. "I already did. These are yours." The figure said nothing. It only lifted a hand, blackened, cracked nails, pointing straight at the gun wrapped in cloth. A gust of wind blew, flinging the fabric aside. The gun rolled out with a metallic clang. For a split second, the weapon gleamed faintly, reflecting the pale moonlight. Terrified, he grabbed it and hurled it into the container. The moment it struck the steel wall, a long, screeching moan echoed out, metal scraping metal. His flashlight dropped, tumbling into the sand. Footsteps approached, steady and slow, thudding into the earth. Between the gusts of wind and crashing waves came a voice. "You tied me, left me here. I starved, I thirsted." Mr. Tuan backed up until his shoulders hit the cold metal of the container. His heart pounded. He clasped his hands together, voice quivering. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." The shadow stopped only a few steps away. The wind hissed past. His hair bristled. The figure leaned forward until its face nearly touched his. The stench of decay and mold filled his nose, and he gagged. "Stay with me?" The icy hand shot forward, clamping around his throat. He struggled wildly, vision dimming, gasping for breath. In blind panic, He grabbed the oil lamp nearby and smashed it against the apparition's head. The oil splattered. Flames roared to life, illuminating the ghost's face, half flesh, half bone, eyes bulging, mouth gaping, a long black tongue lolling out. His scream merged with the howling wind. The container shook violently, steel walls booming as if fists pounded from inside. The fire spread fast, lighting up the entire shore. He stumbled and crawled out, coughing and choking as smoke and sand filled his lungs. When he reached the beach, the flames still towered high, glowing across the barren trees. But within minutes, they vanished. No smoke, no ashes, only the charred container standing alone in the sand. Exhausted, he collapsed, gasping. His trembling hand reached for the tiny cross in his pocket, a gift from his wife before he left home. He pressed it to his chest and whispered a prayer. The sand beneath him quivered once more, then fell still. At dawn, when the patrol boat arrived, they found him unconscious on the beach. Beside him lay a burned piece of metal shaped like an eagle. The container was gone, leaving behind a sunken pit, as if it had been swallowed by the earth. When he awoke in the infirmary, his voice was faint as wind. "It's gone, but I can still hear it, in the waves." They released him from duty and sent him back to the mainland. The resort shut down operations on that island soon after. Whenever someone mentioned it, he would fall silent, pour himself a drink, and stare into the distance. As I listened, goosebumps crawled up my arms. The wind outside howled through the cafe window, and a crashing wave made the whole table tremble. Mr. Tuan chuckled hoarsely. Cat Ba is beautiful, but there are places no one should step into. On windy nights, if you listen closely, you can hear metal clinking in the fog. The sound of that gun. He drained his glass and looked out toward the sea. His eyes reflected a dull, hollow gleam, deep as the ocean itself. That night, I thought it was gone. But whenever the wind whistles through a drainpipe, I still hear French boots walking circles around my hut. Slow and heavy. I said nothing. Outside, thunder rolled, the salt air thickened, and the waves beat steadily. Somewhere among them, a faint clink, clink, echoed like steel on steel. And I swear, in that instant, through the fogged glass of the window, far out over the sea, I saw a flicker of silver light. Perhaps a flashlight beam, or the reflection of something metallic drifting among the waves. The sound of waves, faint metal tapping, then silence. The story ends here. But on that small island off Cat Ba, they say that on clear nights, if you listen between the wind and the surf, you can still hear a sigh, soft, in French, carried in the mist. I haven't left the island. The second story. Let me tell you something that really happened inside one of the largest hospitals in Hanoi. A place people believe holds nothing but the sounds of pain and the smell of disinfectant. But that night, a child's laughter echoed down the long, empty hallway. Mr. Long was a high school literature teacher from Nam Dinh. He had always been healthy, rarely sick, yet during a work trip to Hanoi, he developed a strange, unrelenting fever and was admitted to Bok Mai Hospital. The doctors said it was just the flu, but his body burned like fire. And every night he dreamed of wandering through endless white corridors while a voice whispered softly, "Uncle, uncle, play with me." On his third night in the hospital, the hallway was deathly silent. The fluorescent light flickered, the sharp scent of antiseptic mixed with the musty odor of sweat and weak bodies. Mr. Long tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The bed beside him was empty. The patient had been moved earlier. That spotless white bed seemed to be waiting for someone to lie down. He turned toward the wall, eyes half closed. Then came the faint creak of the springs from the other bed. Creak, 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 rhythmic, like someone bouncing lightly. He thought a nurse had come in and turned his head. But the bed was still empty. The curtain didn't move, only the dim light shimmered, as though something unseen had just passed by. He sat up, straining his eyes. Wind slipped in through the window, carrying a damp, sour smell, like a child's unwashed skin. Then, right beside his ear, a whisper. "Uncle, play with me tonight?" The voice was soft and clear, like a breath, but icy cold. His heart lurched. In front of him, a small shadow sat crouched on the opposite bed. A boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old. His skin was ghostly pale, lips purple, eyes hollow and dark as wells. He wore a gray striped hospital uniform, clutching an old plastic box in both hands. The light cast his face like wax. Mr. Long swallowed hard, voice trembling. Who are you? Why are you here?" The boy lowered his head and said sadly, "I've been here a long time, no one plays with me anymore." Feeling pity, Mr. Long forgot his fear for a moment. "What's your name, child?" The boy smiled, a wide, unnatural smile stretching to his cheeks. "I'm Min, little Min." The moment he said, "little Min," the lights flickered violently. The window burst open, wind howling in, the curtain fluttered, brushing Mr. Long's face with a freezing touch. He shivered and pulled up his blanket, but the boy was now sitting on the edge of his bed. The smell of antiseptic mixed with something metallic and rotten filled the room. "Uncle, play Owen Kwan with me," the boy said, his dark eyes glimmering like tears. Mr. Long froze. The boy opened his plastic box and poured out a handful of small white pebbles, only they looked disturbingly like pieces of bone. "Hey, where did you get those?" The boy's frail fingers trembled. "I picked them up in the morgue, in the basement, it's really cold down there." A chill stabbed through Mr. Long. Sweat dampened his forehead, yet somehow, he found himself sitting down, arranging the pebbles with shaking hands. The boy giggled, moving quickly, skillfully, as though he had played this game many times. They played until nearly 4 in the morning. Mr. Long grew dizzy, exhausted, just before he collapsed onto his pillow. He heard the boy whisper, "Thank you, Uncle, it's been so long since I had someone to play with." When morning came, sunlight streamed through the window. The opposite bed was empty. No plastic box, no pebbles, no footprints. He called the nurse, his voice hoarse. "Miss, was there a little boy here last night?" The nurse looked confused. "No, sir, there aren't any children in this ward, only adults." He told her what had happened. The nurse turned pale and whispered, "There was a boy named Min here once. He had leukemia. His parents abandoned him. He died in 2018. The bed you're sleeping in, that was his." Mr. Long froze, cold sweat dripping down his neck. The nurse said no more. Quietly walking away, he sat motionless, staring at the opposite bed. The white sheet lay perfectly smooth, but in the center, there was a small round indentation, as if someone had set a box there, and then taken it away. He trembled, pulling the blanket over his head. But that night, when he finally dozed off, he heard a child's laughter echo faintly in his dream, along with a whispering count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. "Uncle, you lost again?" Faint laughter fades into the distant hum of the night nurse's intercom. Even as I retell this, my skin crawls, because the nurse on duty that night said that when morning came, Mr. Long's fever had completely vanished, as if he'd never been sick at all. But before leaving the hospital, he returned to that room, left behind a small toy and a note scrawled on paper. "If you're still here, rest in peace, Min." That very night, the night staff swore they heard soft, childish laughter coming from room 203, the room where Mr. Long had stayed. Wind sighs down the corridor. A faint giggle drifts, then fades into silence. That was only the beginning. Because after that night, Mr. Long realized, little Min might not have wanted to play for just one night. After being discharged from the hospital, Mr. Long rented a small room in an old apartment alley near Job Bat. The room was on the 3rd floor, low-ceilinged, with a window facing directly toward the hospital. From there, at night, he could still see the faint white glow of lights from the old treatment building. He unpacked his belongings, cleaned the table, brewed a pot of hot tea, and tried to brush off what had happened. But as midnight came, a soft breeze slipped through the cracks of the window, carrying with it that same sharp smell of disinfectant, mixed with the faint metallic tang of the hospital. He shivered. The teapot in his hand trembled, spilling tea across the table. Outside, the wail of an ambulance echoed off the walls, sounding more like a human cry. He told himself it was just nerves and turned off the lights to sleep. That night, he dreamed again. The hospital corridor appeared before him, bathed in pale white light. At the far end stood little Min, clutching his old plastic box. The boy looked at him, eyes wide and dark. "Uncle, why did you leave so fast? We haven't finished playing yet." Mr. Long woke up in a cold sweat, heart pounding. The room was silent except for the slow hum of his fan. He sat up, inhaling deeply. Then, from the corner of the room, came a faint sound. Tap, 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 like small stones falling on tile. He shone his phone's flashlight. On the floor were several white pebbles scattered across the tiles. He bent down, picked one up. It was ice cold and feather light. Under the beam of light, he saw a thin black line inside it, like a strand of hair. He dropped it instantly, his back damp with sweat. The wind outside suddenly grew stronger, and through it came a child's giggle. "I've been waiting for you, Uncle." His blood ran cold. He jumped up, rushed to the door, and flung it open. The hallway was empty, dim yellow lights flickering. Only the faint shuffling of distant footsteps. He stood frozen as the chill crept up from his feet to his neck. When he turned back into the room, the teapot had toppled over, and the spilled tea had formed a small circle, shaped eerily like a child's handprint. That night, he didn't sleep. Every time he started to drift off, he heard a small voice whisper beside his ear. 1, 2, 3, it's your turn, Uncle." By morning, he went downstairs to buy breakfast. The landlady looked uneasy. "Did you hear a child laughing last night? I thought the neighbors had the TV on, but it kept getting louder." He forced a smile and shook his head, though his hands were cold. That afternoon, he went back to the hospital to find the nurse from before. She recognized him instantly, her face pale. Why did you come back?" "I just want to light some incense for Min." The nurse hesitated, then quietly led him down to the old basement, once the children's oncology ward. The air was thick and heavy, filled with the stench of mold, rust, and old cleaning chemicals. The walls were stained and cracked. Faded crayon drawings remained, sun, cats, and a scrawled line of text. Min, 6 years old. Mr. Long's hands trembled as he lit 3 incense sticks and placed them in a small clay bowl on the ledge. Smoke curled upward, hazy and thin. He whispered, "If your spirit still lingers, please rest. I didn't mean to disturb you." He bowed deeply. When he lifted his head again, the incense had gone out, smoke cold and still. Behind him came the faint sound of a sigh, so close it raised every hair on his body. He spun around. No one there, only a peeling wall. And scrawled faintly in marker were the words, "I'm still here, waiting for you." He left in a panic, heart racing. By the time he got back to his room, the sun had already set. He sat on the edge of the bed, mind blank. Maybe it was coincidence, he thought, until close to midnight, when his phone buzzed softly. The screen lit up, a message from an unknown number. "Uncle, I miss you." His breath caught. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the window. The curtain billowed violently. On the floor, the white stones began to roll and spin, as if pushed by invisible fingers. He whispered shakily, Min, is that you?" The wind stopped. The room turned eerily still. Only his heartbeat echoed in his ears. Then, from the phone speaker, came a voice, soft and unmistakable. "Yes, it's me, Uncle, don't leave me." He hurled the phone onto the bed. The screen flickered on again, showing a photo taken from inside his own room. It was blurry, but behind him, on the wall, stood the figure of a child, head tilted, eyes black as ink, mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. Mr. Long tried to scream, but no sound came out. The lights went off. Darkness swallowed everything, except for the faint glow from the phone. and in that dim light, the child began to move. Wind howls, pebbles scatter, a child's laughter echoes and fades. The story didn't end there. Because the next morning, when the landlady knocked on Mr. Long's door, she found it slightly open. The fan was still spinning, but the room was empty. No trace of him. Only one thing remained, drawn crudely on the wall in white dust. A half-finished O and Quan game. After Mr. Long disappeared from his rented room, rumors spread everywhere. The landlady called the police, and they broke the lock to investigate. The room was completely empty, except for a single phone lying on the floor. Still glowing, on the screen was an O and Quan board game made of white pebbles. The pieces were arranged just like a child would play, with one missing in the center. The strange thing was this: in the hallway security footage, at exactly 2:13 a.m., Mr. Long was seen opening his door and stepping out, holding the hand of a small child. They walked down the stairs together, but when they reached the first floor, only Mr. Long appeared in the next frame. People said he had lost his mind after the fever, but I, his colleague and friend, never believed that, because 3 days before he vanished, he sent me a letter. The paper was yellowed, the ink blurred by water. It read, "If I don't come back, don't look for me. Little Min still needs someone to play with, just one more night." 3 days later, I took a bus to Hanoi and went to that boarding house. The room had been sealed by the police, but the landlady agreed to open it for me. The air inside was heavy and foul, thick with the stench of mildew and something metallic. On the wall, the same O and Quan board remained, drawn in white dust like ash. In the center of each square stood a half-burned incense stick. Nearby was a small ID photo of Mr. Long, hastily pasted to the wall. One corner smeared with dried blood. My hands trembled as I lit a stick of incense and whispered, "Long, where are you? My friend?" The wind gusted through the room. The incense bent downward, burning backward toward the base. A strange smell filled the air, acrid, fishy, suffocating. Then I heard it, a child's laughter, faint and clear, echoing from inside the wall. "You came, I've been waiting for you." My spine went cold. For a fleeting second, I saw the boy's reflection outside the window, pale face, dark hollow eyes, lips tinted purple. He didn't step in, he only stood there, head slightly tilted, staring. "What do you want?" I asked, voice shaking. The boy pressed his lips together, his tone small and sorrowful. "I'm lonely, I miss Uncle Long. He left without saying goodbye." I backed away. The wind roared, slamming the window open and knocking down the photo frame. Around me came the sound of running footsteps, tiny, slapping, like a child in rubber sandals circling fast. "I want Uncle Long to stay with me forever," the voice echoed, rippling through the walls. I dropped the incense and ran for the door, but it wouldn't open. As if someone was holding it shut from the other side. The wind whipped violently through the room, filling it with the biting scent of antiseptic. I covered my nose and turned for one last glance, and I saw it. Right where Mr. Long used to sleep, a damp human-shaped stain spread across the floor. On the pillow lay a small handprint, dusty white. The old plastic box sat open beside it. Inside were a few pebbles and a folded note. I unfolded it with trembling fingers. Scrawled across the page in shaky handwriting were the words, "Uncle Long promised to play with me, forever." Terrified, I threw the note aside and slammed against the door until it burst open. The moment it did, the wind stopped. The room went utterly silent. Gasping, I turned back. Everything was gone. No box, no stones, no stains. Only the curtain swayed gently, as though someone had just slipped past it. I fled the building without looking back, but as I passed the gate of Bok Mai Hospital, I froze. Through the second-floor window of the old oncology wing, I saw a man and a small child sitting together, playing some kind of game under the dim yellow light. The child lifted his head and looked straight at me. That smile, I'll never forget it. The wind rises. In the distance, an ambulance siren fades away. People say that since then, no one dares to rent that room. Every night, they hear pebbles rolling softly across the floor, stopping right beside the pillow. Some tenants who tried to clean it found, by morning, that words had appeared again on the wall, written in white dust. "Uncle, play with me one more time?" And at Bach Mai Hospital, the old pediatric oncology building has long been shut down, but the night guards swear that around 2 or 3 in the morning, they sometimes hear the faint giggle of a child echoing from the basement, followed by a steady counting voice, as if someone were still playing a game. 1, 2, 3, your turn, uncle. Soft laughter fades. The wind hums through the corridor. An old iron door creaks shut. That night, I finally understood. Some spirits never want to move on. They just need someone to stay and play with them. Just one person, but forever. A few seconds of silence. The background music fades into a cold, hollow echo. And if, one night, while lying in a hospital room, you hear a pebble drop onto the tile floor, don't open your eyes. Because maybe, someone's already sitting beside you, waiting for you to take your turn. The third story. Let me tell you a tale from the southern Riverlands, where life seems peaceful on the surface, but some spirits refuse to let go. The story is called, The Mirror of the Dead, the family of Mrs. Hong. It happened in Anthoi Ward, Binh Thuy District, Can-Tho City, in a small riverside neighborhood where the murky water flowed endlessly and, at night, fish could be heard splashing in the canal. Mrs. Hong's house stood at the end of a narrow alley, an old tin roof, mossy brick walls, damp enough that even during the day there lingered a musty odor. Locals often whispered, "That house carries heavy yin energy." Mrs. Hong lived with her husband, Mr. Ba, a hot-tempered man who drank like it was daily medicine. They had an 8-year-old son named Ben, a bright, cheerful boy born with asthma. One stormy August night, thunder cracked open the sky as rain poured down in torrents. Mrs. Hong ran frantic from house to house. But by the time she reached the clinic, Ben's body was already cold. She screamed until her voice broke, then fainted. Mr. Ba sat motionless, clutching an unopened bottle of liquor. The funeral was rushed. Rain never stopped. Neighbors advised her to cover every mirror and TV, fearing the child's spirit might get trapped between reflections. But Mr. Ba scoffed. Superstition nonsense. So everything stayed uncovered. The mirror in the wardrobe, the TV screen, all reflecting the flickering light of the oil lamp. That afternoon, as they dug the grave, the workers found a black cobra coiled at the mouth of the pit. Everyone froze, terrified, but Mr. Ba sneered, grabbed an iron rod, killed the snake, and later grilled it for drinking snacks. Old man Sao from next door shook his head. Warning. That's a bad omen. Ba, a snake guarding the grave means something sacred. Mr. Ba laughed through his breath of alcohol. A snake's a snake. There's nothing sacred about it. That night, the wind in the house shifted, cold and backward, as if someone was breathing down their necks. Lying in bed, Mrs. Hong heard a faint scrape, like a knife gliding against glass. In the corner, the wardrobe mirror had fogged, and through the blur she saw the shape of a small child standing inside it, round face, wet hair sticking to his forehead, eyes wide and sorrowful. She screamed and pulled the blanket over her head. The next morning, she told her husband. Mr. Ba just laughed. "You miss the boy too much. You're seeing things." But the following night, he saw it. Waking up in the middle of the night, he felt eyes watching him. When he turned, the boy was sitting inside the mirror, tiny hands pressed to the glass, smiling. The grin was too wide. Moonlight glinted in the dark pits of his eyes. "Dad, why did you kill my friend?" the voice whispered. Thin as wind. Mr. Ba froze, trembling, choking for breath. He hurled his pillow at the mirror. Glass shattered with a sharp crash. But when he looked, the mirror was still whole, unbroken, except for a small, ash-gray handprint smeared across it. By morning, they found him dead in bed. His face was purple, both hands gripping his own neck. The mirror nearby had a long crack splitting his reflected face in two. The second funeral in 1 month. The neighborhood went silent. No one dared pass the house. Mrs. Hong's mother, old Mrs. Sao, moved in to stay with her daughter. But strange things began again. Late one night, the old woman heard a child laughing in the hallway. When she looked, words had appeared on the mirror, written in condensation. "I'm cold, please let me in." Panicking, she clutched her prayer beads. The wind surged. The light flickered. For a second, she saw that the reflection in the mirror was not hers, but that of a purple-faced man standing behind her. She screamed. When the family rushed in, they found her unconscious on the floor, still gripping her beads. After that, Mrs. Hong changed. Each night, she sat before the mirror, brushing her hair and softly calling her son's name. People begged her to stop, but she only murmured, "He's back, he wants me to go with him." Another stormy night, thunder crashed. Neighbors heard glass shatter. They rushed over, but the door was locked. When they broke it open, they found her lying lifeless on the floor, eyes wide, lips purple. On her chest were small scratch marks forming the shape of a child's hand. The mirror lay shattered to pieces, shards glittering in the lightning, each reflecting twisted faces. They buried her beside her husband and child. But it wasn't over. Her younger brother, Fong, and eldest sister, Mai, were the only two left. Fong was stubborn but spiritually sensitive. He went to Phuoc Hao Pagoda, seeking a monk's help to see the truth. The monk warned, "Your family bears heavy karma. That mirror is the vessel. The child's soul hasn't crossed over, and the cobra's spirit your brother killed has bound it. You must face the spirit and release it." Fong received 3 gold talismans, one for the door, one for the ceiling, and one above the bed. For 3 nights, he lit incense and prayed, waiting for Bin's spirit to appear. The first night, only wind. The second, fog thickened on the mirror, showing the faint shape of a crouching child. The third night, the voice came clear as day. "Uncle Fong, please let me out." A freezing gust tore through the room. The mirror rattled violently, as if fists were pounding from within. Fong knelt, trembling. "Bin, don't hold grudges anymore. I'll help you move on." The child laughed, a brittle, broken laugh. "Too late, now it's your turn." The wind died. Silence. In the mirror, the boy vanished, replaced by Fong's own reflection. Pale, eyes bulging, mouth stretched into a grotesque grin. He screamed and fell back, arms slashed open by a shard of glass. By dawn, his sister found him dead. Blood pooled across the floor. Written on the wall, in crimson smears, were the words, "I can't get out." Wind sighs, insects chirp, water drips. But even that wasn't the end. 3 months later, when the land was sold for a new apartment project, the construction crew dug into the old foundation and uncovered a small child's grave beneath the house. The stench was unbearable, but what horrified everyone most was... Pause. The wind rises. The child's body was perfectly preserved, though nearly 10 years had passed. The incense stick placed beside it refused to burn. The candlelight wouldn't stay lit. And among the broken mirror shards buried in the soil, someone's eyes slowly opened. Sound of shattering glass, then silence. After the entire Hong family died, their house was sold cheaply to a real estate company. The land was leveled, and soon a modern apartment complex rose in its place, its name, In Phuoc Residence. Bright facade, white walls, mirrored elevators. But the old neighbors only shook their heads. That land used to be cursed. On the first day of construction, strange things happened. One excavator operator said his machine suddenly screeched to a stop, unable to move. When they checked, there was a shattered mirror beneath the bucket, its cracked surface faintly reflecting someone's eyes looking up. The crew grew uneasy, but the site manager told them to bury it and move on. That night, the operator went home pale as chalk, mumbling, "The kid called my name." A month later, the building was complete. Residents moved in quickly. But within a week, rumors spread. In apartment A505, the exact location of Mrs. Hong's old house. Residents began hearing talk, talk, talk on the bathroom mirror every night. At first, they thought it was plumbing, but as the hours deepened, laughter of a child mixed with the faint sigh of a woman echoed through the walls. Mai, the eldest sister, the only surviving member of the family, heard about it in a newspaper. She came to the management office, begging to see the unit. They refused at first, but she insisted, "I just want to see it one last time." When the door opened, a wave of damp air rolled out. Even though the air conditioner was running, the smell, iron and old blood, hung thick. The white walls were stained as if someone had brushed muddy water across them. Mai walked slowly inside, clutching a bundle of incense. Her voice trembled. "Bin, your mom, dad, grandma, and uncle, they're all gone now. Please don't stay here anymore." The incense flickered and hissed softly. No wind, yet the bathroom mirror fogged over. Steam spread unevenly, and a small handprint appeared on the glass. Mai stumbled back, whispering, Don't scare your aunt. Bin." Then came a muffled child's voice, echoing like from beneath water. "Aunt Mai, why did everyone leave me?" Tears streamed down her face. She knelt, crying into the rising smoke. "We didn't leave you, Bin, we were just too afraid." The mirror trembled violently. Within its foggy surface appeared the old house, rusted roof, green-stained walls, a crooked altar. In the middle sat a small boy, holding a torn teddy bear. His face had no skin, only dark hollow eyes. He smiled faintly. "I'm cold, please let me out." "No," Mai screamed, voice breaking. "You must follow the Buddha. You can't stay here." The child shrieked. The whole room shook. The mirror cracked apart. Black smoke poured out. Glass rained onto the tiles. And in the shards, Mai saw faces, Hong, Ba, Bin, old Mrs. Sao, each staring at her, eyes sunken, filled with sorrow. "Don't come back anymore," she sobbed. Then she fainted. The next morning, the security guard found her unconscious on the bathroom floor. On the wall, the shattered pieces had fallen into a pattern spelling two words, "Go now." But what terrified everyone most was the new mirror they'd just installed. Its surface looked flawless, except for the bottom left corner, where a pair of small eyes stared out, unblinking. From that day on, no one dared live in a 505. It was sealed, but every few nights, the night guards reported hearing 3 knocks echo from the men's restroom mirror. When they wiped it clean in the morning, faint white handprints appeared again. Once, a young couple accidentally rented the unit, bringing along their 8-year-old son. On their first night, the boy said softly, "Mom, Bin told me not to look in the mirror at night." The mother laughed it off. But by morning, the bathroom mirror had fractured, a small streak of dried blood marking the center, no bigger than a fingertip. They moved out immediately. The apartment was locked again. Yet, on the hallway cameras, strange footage appeared, every few nights. At exactly 3 a.m., a small child in white walked past the door. The face was blank, a blur of emptiness. At the door of a 505, it stopped and knocked 3 times. Talk, talk, talk? Then vanished. Every year, in August, on the exact day Ben died, the entire building loses power for 3 minutes. And during those 3 minutes, everyone who looks into a mirror sees the same thing. A little boy sitting behind them, head bowed, arms around his knees, lips moving silently. They say, if you listen closely, you'll hear a faint whisper, right next to your ear. "I can't get out." Silence. The wind hums through the crack of a door. A metallic clink echoes once. To this day, apartment A505 remains vacant. At night, the corridor light outside flickers on by itself, even when no one passes. And the bathroom mirror, whenever cleaners come, still fogs over, revealing a single line of words. "Stay and play with me." Sound of glass cracking, then silence. Don't look into a mirror alone at night. Because maybe, you won't see yourself anymore. This story ends here. Thank you for listening until the very end. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world and helps us bring you more chilling tales. If you have any questions or notice any mistakes in the story, feel free to comment below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next story. Bong Toi Trong Dem. Disclaimer: the story in this video is fictional, created purely for entertainment and to deliver a thrilling experience to the audience. We do not promote superstition or any dangerous actions mentioned in the story. Any resemblance to real persons, places, or events is purely coincidental. Thank you for supporting Bong Toi Trong Dem.